Is Donald Trump leading the U.S. to World War III? Experts fear World War III, as the nuclear button is now in the hands of Donald Trump. How far might Trump go with his unpredictability and isolationism? The election of Trump, who made comments about his willingness to nuke ISIS, has increased the chance of global war, experts warn. Trump, who promised he will be negotiating through his unpredictability, is a really tough nut to crack. With the election of Trump, who will be installed as Commander-in-Chief on January 20th, experts warn the world is already becoming more dangerous and volatile. Trump's key vows that could lead to World War III. The real estate mogul has made a number of controversial vows during his presidential campaign that suggest we're coming to World War III. Here are just some of the key things promised by Trump. Saying that NATO is obsolete and inefficient. Trump also thinks that there's no point in risking U.S. soldiers' lives to save NATO allies. So without its fundamentally vital ally, NATO is expected to cease to exist. Additionally, Russian President Vladimir Putin will feel more emboldened in Europe and think he'll get away with anything. So the chances of World War III are growing. Working with Putin more closely. There is a strong chance Trump would roll back the sanctions imposed on Russia in 2014. As a result, there would be tensions in relations between the U.S. and Europe. Russia, meanwhile, would be warming up to America. Trump has previously hinted that he would ease pressure on North Korea, so North Korean leader Kim Jong-un would be emboldened to further intimidate its neighbors, which could eventually grow into a full-blown military conflict and even World War III. The U.S. president-elect is a vocal advocate of dismantling the Iran nuclear deal. Trump and other Republicans have repeatedly promised to rip up the deal negotiated by Barack Obama in mid-2015, and if that happens, Iran would be provoked into acquiring atomic warheads, which could potentially lead to World War III. Trump has previously promised to shoot Iranian boats out of the water if they continue to threaten U.S. vessels, which could lead to a military confrontation between the U.S. and Iran. Iran's neighbors, meanwhile, would be picking sides, triggering the global conflict. Trump views destroying ISIS as his first priority. The president-elect promised a media blackout on major operations against ISIS, thus keeping America's military operation against radical militants under wraps. Trump also promised to work with our Arab allies and friends in the Middle East, meaning that his strict anti-ISIS policies could either defeat ISIS or give rise to another global conflict. Putin's advisors say Hillary Clinton's victory would lead to World War III. However, not everyone agrees that Donald Trump's presidency could potentially bring World War III. Putin's advisors, who have laid their eyes on the Russian president's geopolitical plans, say that it was Hillary Clinton's presidency that would have resulted in World War III. Americans had their choices, World War III or multilateral peace. Clinton was a symbol of war, and Trump has a chance to change this course, said Putin's advisor Sergei Glaziev. Another Putin aide, Vyacheslav Volodin, said Trump's presidency will put an end to the Obama administration's sanctions against Russia. Sanctions is the tool used by the weak, Volodin said. There is no telling if Trump's actions as commander-in-chief will lead to global conflicts, but it seems that World War III speculations will be chasing the newly elected president up until he makes his first steps as U.S. president on January 20th. Potential threats from Trump's anti-NATO stance. For now, Trump has no choice but to be accused of being so unpredictable that his presidency could lead to World War III. Either he will or will not, but one of his presidential promises is starting to make sense. His pro-Russian comments have already had a great effect on Russia and its leadership. There was only one world leader toasting Trump's presidential victory. It was Vladimir Putin. In fact, when Trump was declared president on Wednesday, there were cheers in the Russian parliament. Experts fear that Trump's presidency is a threat to U.S. global dominance and its role as the world's police. Thus, his unwillingness to keep pushing the U.S. Russian crisis even deeper may embolden Putin. I think we woke up in a much more dangerous world than the one we went to bed in, Dr. Brian Klaas, at the London School of Economics, told the Daily Mirror. The U.S. pulling out of NATO would be the most dangerous development in decades, since the end of the Cold War. Trump has previously declared his lack of interest in providing NATO members with protection in case of war. The U.S. president-elect also declined to say if he would come to the rescue of the Baltic states if Russia used military force against them. Baltic states are waking up to horror, Dr. Klass added. Russia has been escalating tensions in Eastern Europe ever since it annexed Crimea in 2014 and sent its troops into Ukraine. Trump makes the world more unstable and volatile. There are also those who think the world is even more unstable and volatile now that Trump has been elected to be the next U.S. president. General Sir Richard Sheriff, former NATO's Deputy Supreme Allied Commander for Europe, told The Atlantic, NATO depends totally on American leadership and American willingness to come to the aid of allies unconditionally. Therefore, to have a president in the White House who is not necessarily prepared to do that weakens the alliance immeasurably. General Sheriff also voiced his concerns regarding how Putin might view Trump's presidency. The general says Putin will now be able to test Trump's temper and send troops to the Baltic states, thinking he'll get away with it. And that, of course, makes the world more dangerous, the general said. Is Trump prepared to push the nuclear button? But some are especially concerned about the possibility of a nuclear World War III. As Commander-in-Chief, Trump will now have sole authority to use nuclear weapons against any country in the world. Whether it's North Korea, China or even Russia, it'll be Trump's call. Some advisors may try to change the president's mind or resign in protest, but ultimately, the Pentagon must comply with the Commander-in-Chief's order, Bruce G. Blair of Princeton University told the Daily Mirror. However, during his presidential debate against Clinton, Trump said it was his Democratic rival who would trigger World War III. Theories and speculations keep piling up, while the world will have to wait for answers until January 28 when Trump will be sworn in as the 45th President of the United States of America.